Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Steel Sanctuary podcast. I'm your host, David Barrow from SteelSanctuary.com, and this is my co-host, David Korob. Dave, what's going on?
What's up, man?
Not much. I didn't fall for any of the freaking April Fools things on Twitter, but I came close.
I saw the Justin Jefferson one.
Yeah, that guy almost got me.
Yeah.
I read it. I went to repost it. I read it again. I'm like, this motherfucker. They were all over the fucking Twitter today too. I think it's the lamest freaking thing on earth. April Fool's shit. I can't stand it. I can't stand
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Especially in the sports world.
Yeah, when so many of these things could actually happen and you're just waiting, but whatever. Anyway, did you see my Sunday poll? I forgot to tell you about it. I ran
No,
it.
I did not see it.
I asked the people on Twitter if Brock Bowers fell to 20, tight end from Georgia, would you take him?
Okay.
And we get the resounding 72 to 28% no.
Woo.
I thought it was interesting because he could fall to 20, and he is a tremendous talent. He's not just he is a tight end, but you can flex him to the slot, do a couple of interesting things with him. I know it's not likely to happen, and they probably won't do it, but I thought it was just something to think about. I mean, if you go best player on the board and he falls to 20, he could technically be the best player on the board, and that's not a
And
crazy thing.
does he fit as a great, tight end in Arthur Smith's offense?
That's another point.
Yeah. I mean, so
I don't
I
know.
get
Was he
it.
there when they drafted who was that tight end for Atlanta? What the hell's his name? The big
Oh, you
tight
mean
end that
Kyle Pitts?
Kyle Pitts. Was he there or was that before him?
I think they drafted him. He was there when they
Yeah, I
drafted
think so. He went with Kyle Pitts. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting. Um, Ron actually brought it up, and I had thought about it because the Steelers. Mike Tomlin's only been on to 4 pro days. Four.
him. I know.
It kind of narrows the search a little bit. Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, and Georgia. So
Yep.
it's like if they stick to their history,
And I was going to bring that up with my 2.0
you might
draft.
draft it. So you want to save it for then?
No, I mean we can talk about that a little bit if you want. It's okay, but
It's like there's maybe 6 first round talents out of those teams because you're not counting, JJ McCarthy from Michigan. So there's nobody at Michigan. I don't think Roman
yeah.
Wilson's a first round.
So yeah, I mean basically this is what I was going to talk about when we started my
Oh,
mock.
I'm sorry. I don't
But
want to.
basically, I mean we can get into it, but like I was just basically like there's something that is really a big deal that we can get to whenever you want to do the draft. We can wait to that though. So
All right, let's do a few Steelers news things, and then we'll get into your mock.
okay.
The Steelers announced their 4 signings, so it's official. Quez Watkins, Cordero Patterson, Dean Lowry, and Kyle Allen. We didn't get a chance to talk about Cordero Patterson. How did you like that signing?
Oh, I like it. I mean, look, since they announced that new kick return kickoff rule,
Yes.
now I mean that makes it so much more important. And I love how it was like the Steelers got ahead of this a little bit. Like they went and grabbed him quick. Like, hey, we want you now before anybody else can, offer you more money or whatever. They went and got him. And dude, he really is like a Swiss Army knife. I mean, he started his career off as a wide receiver, and it actually didn't go that well. And remember, he kind of disappeared for a little while, and then
Yep.
came back as a running back and did really well as a running back.
Yeah, he's played majority of his career now as a running back. There's some
Yeah,
slot
and
stuff
I
there
mean,
too, but
a good pass catching running back.
yeah.
So like, that's great to have that as a RB3.
Yep.
And then like, look, if you don't want to do trickery and like that, you can put him in the slot as a wide receiver on a trick play. You can do all kinds of things. But then to have a guy that's like really one of the best returners of all time, stat wise at least, that's not bad to have on your team. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I like the signing. I mean, I don't want to exaggerate here, but to get a guy specifically who's really good at that, yeah, absolutely.
I like the signing. I've wanted them to sign Cordell Patterson for like 3 years running now.
Yes.
Um, the only thing I'm worried about now, he's going to be 33. Um, when do the wheels fall off for this guy? I mean, I think he'll be fine for 1 more year. Maybe you could stretch 2 out of him if you're lucky. But I'm totally for it. Just for all the reasons you said, the kickoff rule, he'll be running back 3. hopefully they can design some stuff for him as a running back in certain situations.
Yeah.
You know, he's not going to get a lot of burn at running back with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, but at least a couple, couple of snaps a game, do something different. I don't think there's no downside to it really. It's not a big con. Although they did sign him for $3 million a year for 2 years, which I thought was kind of a lot, right? I mean,
For 2 years? It's a 2-year deal? I didn't know that.
2 years, $6 million, yeah.
Okay, so three per. I mean, yeah, I guess. Like, I mean, he is a return specialist on top of being
Yeah.
a guy actually is actually decent at running the ball and can catch. So I don't know. Maybe they really wanted him, so they
Yeah.
went and got him.
You just worry that salary cap space is dwindling,
Yeah.
and we're all hoping for one more big splash, and I don't think it's going to happen.
I think we're at the end here. Did you see
Yeah.
that one account on Twitter said that they have made an offer to Tyler Boyd?
And they're going to stick there. They're not going to go
Yeah,
up.
that's
They're
it.
sticking to it. Yeah.
They've made their final offer, I guess you could say, and it's up to him.
If there is one more move that they make, it's probably going to be Tyler Boyd. If he comes down off his whatever he's asking for, who knows?
Well, the way I look at it is no other team signing him to that, so it's time for him to just
Yeah.
get over it. And
get off the pot there, Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
You're not going to get.
Like, dude, if you want to come home, then take what they're offering and come home. If not, that's on you. Whatever.
I'm not overly excited about that one, really. He's
Yes and no.
right.
Like, to have him as a number 2 or 3, depending on what they offered him, that'll be based on what I get excited about. He's apparently a good blocking wide receiver.
Yeah,
and
he's talented. It's just
he is. Like, I don't
like
want to downplay it. It's just
I
it's how much money do you want, dude? Like, it ain't like you haven't been setting the world on fire here. So what are we doing? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Cam Sutton turned himself in today. That's a bizarre story, right? I just what goes through your head?
Look, I seen a bunch of people and they're going, I hope he's okay and all this other stuff, and I'm like, dude, he choke slammed his wife / daughter. I'm sorry, girlfriend through a window off the 3rd story. I thought they said. I don't feel sorry for this guy.
That's like allegedly what he did.
Yeah, if that's what he did, I don't give a shit about him. Good, he turned himself in. That way, whatever. Like, but it is bizarre. Like, where did this come from? You never have heard he didn't do anything ever wrong when he's with the Steelers. All of a sudden, loses his fucking mind. I don't know.
You have all the money in the world. You can buy the best attorneys.
Yeah, like,
just
why?
running just makes you look more guilty, and maybe he probably is guilty. So, but I just don't get it.
Well, I just want to know what makes you so angry that you try to throw another human being through a window that you supposedly care about off a 3rd-story window. Like, that's kind of weird.
They talk about it all the time. These football players, they play on the edge, and they want them to be nasty, and they want them to be physical and mean and be ruthless. And then sometimes it's hard to shut the switch off when you get.
I
think it's kind of a weak excuse, but I've heard more than one player talk about it. It's not excusing what he did.
I'm just saying, like, if it's my wife or my girlfriend,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's wow.
Tony Pauline did his latest mock draft, and he had the Steelers taking Jackson Powers Johnson. Did I screw that up? Center from Oregon,
No,
and then Kamari Lassiter, the corner from Georgia in the 2nd round. Not crazy about Lassiter. He ran a really slow 40 time. I hope that's not the pick in round 2. JPJ, who knows? Seems likely, but we'll see how that goes. Why don't we just let's jump into your mock right now, since we're talking about mock drafts.
All right. So basically, I don't think I've changed my mind. I don't think that Jackson Powers Johnson is going to be the pick now at 20. There's a report out there that a lot of teams never were that high on him, and that him and Frazier and them are round 2 picks. And I started thinking about it with the Steelers, and I was like, you know what? To your point that you brought up earlier that I was going to bring up now was that, Mike Tomlin and Khan, traditionally, they bring the whole family tree when they go to see the guy they're going to take, right? Or they want to take.
Yep.
And now you talk about they only went to Georgia, Clemson, Michigan, and Alabama, right? What do all four of them have in common? They do not have a top 2 round center in this
Nope.
draft, right?
No.
So that to me is a good indication that the Steelers do not intend, or at the time didn't intend, to take a center in the first round. So my pick that I think they're going to really want, because of the fact of Arthur Smith being the offensive coordinator and then Mike Tomlin saying they want to use their bigs, I pick Amarius Mims, offensive tackle out of Georgia. I'll go ahead and read the scouting report on him as well. He's 6'7", 340 pounds, and this is the part you're gonna like. He has an RAS score of 9.57 as a tackle, Dave. Mass offensive tackle with elite mass, length, and no bad weight. Can dominate in pass protection with his athleticism, anchor strength, and wingspan. Leverages well in pass protection. Use controlled lean and knee bend to widen reach. Absolute road grader in the run game with his athleticism, power, and finisher mentality. Has playing experience at both left and right tackle, is huge deal, and projects well in both spots. And then I got his weaknesses as well. Hand usage is still relatively raw, and hands can be slow and imprecise on recovery. Taller pad level can cause balance to deteriorate the longer reps drawn on. Has a very small sample size of college tape with just 8 career starts, missed time with an ankle injury in 2023, and missed snaps within games several times. So the knock is he didn't play a lot.
Yeah, he doesn't have many starts under his belt.
So, that's definitely a concern. But at the same time, I mean, the tape don't lie either. You know what I'm saying? So it just, thinking about what I just said, no centers brought the whole coaching staff to it. And then them being at Georgia and this guy fitting the bill of what they need at right tackle, I just got, to me, this is probably the pick. This is probably it. And I don't see a way around it. That is it. JC Latin, is that pronounced right? From Alabama.
Yeah, from Alabama. He's the other one that could be.
He's the other one I could see. One of those two, I could see them being the target in round 1. So I don't know, man. Like, I've been JPJ. I want this guy, but now that I'm seeing these rumors that teams don't have these first round grades on him or Frazier, I'm like, man, maybe this is just like a fan creation of some sort because of the need, that maybe that's the thing. So that's my first round pick. I know it's nothing sexy or new or anything. It's just this time I wanted to be a little more accurate. On what
it's the most likely. It's the most likely scenario.
So I would like the pick, to be honest with you. I would love the pick.
Yeah, I'd like that as well.
I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't be mad about it. The dude's a beast.
Yeah,
from what you've seen, right? I mean, that's what I've seen. This guy's awesome. So I don't know. So that's my first round pick. Moving on to round 2. So did a lot of mocks. It reflected what those scouts are saying. Both JPJ and Frazier were now being in the second round.
Yep.
The Seahawks, the Cowboys both passed on them, along with me doing it in the first round. But as soon as that second round came, guess what?
Yeah, they were both gone.
That's when they yes. Yeah. So I predict that the Steelers are going to. I think as soon as JPJ is gone, I feel like they're going to feel that pressure. Like, oh shit, we need to make a move, and I think they are, and I think they're going to make sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, they do get one of these 2 plug and play centers, and I think they're going to get the one that's been in their backyard for a long time, in Zach Frazier. On his pro day, it was actually at that Big 12 pro day.
Yep.
The Steelers sent offensive line coach assistant Isaac Williams. He was there to observe and watch him. So a Steeler did go and watch him. For people that are like, well, then if they're not going to really be interested, so they send a lot of people. Guess what? When Joey Porter Jr. was selected at 32 overall last year, Mike Tomlin didn't even go.
Yep. Yeah, that only really applies to the first round.
And it only applies, and that's what people need to understand. It only applies to the first round. After that, all bets are off. If they have sent anybody, or if it's somebody close in their backyard who they probably have went and watched it, then you don't got to worry about that. So I honestly do think that they go after Zach Frazier. His scouting report for everybody: he's 6'2", weighs 313 pounds. He did not have an RAS score, Dave. Sorry about that.
I actually have it, Dave. It came out today.
Oh, that was the low one. What? It was like 6 something.
6'4", 6.
Yeah. Rumor is he kind of forced this. He was wanting to do it.
100% recovered.
Yeah. He forced it. And people were kind of like, okay, if this is what you really want to do, kind of thing. That's what I saw when that happened. I forgot about that. But anyways, so pros: low cut offensive lineman with superb mass and an incredibly strong upper half. Nimble athlete with good blocking range in space and solid lateral mobility. Former state champion wrestler with an excellent IQ and understanding of leverage. Has great hinge fluidity, swiveling around the pick-off linebackers and execute reach blocks. Able to torque through and finish defenders who sacrifice leverage trying to pry free. And then I've got his weaknesses. Can quickly process stunts, realign base, and re-exert hands pass initial extensions. That was his last pro. The weaknesses. Doesn't quite have elite explosiveness or range in space. Has below average length, which causes occasional lunges to overcompensate. Sometimes widens base too far, inhibiting his ability to recollect lateral positioning, and occasionally overshoots blocking angles working ahead of screen. Some of this can be fixed, Dave. But to me, I'd be okay with it in round 2. I'm okay with it in round 2. To go get back-to-back offensive linemen to really make sure you're protecting 2 quarterbacks that led the league and staying in the pocket the longest sounds like a good idea. Now, I know you're going to hate that because I know you want a wide receiver, and I do too, but I just don't see how they don't go this route.
We talked about it with Ron in the last podcast. They have to come out with a center in the first 2 rounds. They have to. There's no other way around it at this point. There's nobody left in free agency. There's nobody left to trade for. They've kind of painted themselves in a corner where they have to draft a center in the first 2 rounds. And they might even have to trade up for this one, Dave.
Oh, no, that's what I said earlier. I said once they take JPJ, it might force the Steelers' hand to move up ahead of the Seahawks and take one.
You can't start the season with Van Pran as your starting center. And then let's put it this way. If they're at 50 and Frazier and JPJ and Barton are gone, now they're at the point where they almost have to take Van Pran in the second round.
Yes.
Because you can't not afford to let him, because after that, it's over.
That's it. And Barton was a guy I didn't even consider in the first place as a center. But apparently, I mean, he's gotten pretty high, ranks as a guy that could definitely be a center. I mean, I saw a mock where he went 31 overall today. I was
he's going to go before Frazier because he can play multiple positions, and maybe this team doesn't want him as a center. Maybe they want him as a guard or a tackle.
And so if he can play them both at a high level, that's huge.
Yeah.
But so third round, I went ahead and made you happy. Round 3, Johnny Wilson, wide receiver out of Florida State. Yeah. Pro day. I thought this was weird how they said this, but pro day football analysis for the Steelers. Tosin Kazim and area scout Zach Crockett were at his pro day. Listen to this scouting report. You'll love it. 6'6", 231 pounds, but had an RAS score of 969. This dude is huge. And listen to this. From high school, he was 6'6". He ran a 40-yard dash in 4.5 range. To the 2023 season, when Wilson was documented by Bruce Feldman as having 36-inch arms, a 35.5 vertical, and a 10.5 broad jump, and a max speed of 21 miles per hour. Wilson's combination of size and speed shouldn't be legal, this scout said. After toiling for 2 years at Arizona State, the former 4-star recruit got a chance to put on display at Florida State's offense in 2022, emerging as a top receiving threat for Jordan Davis. Wilson caught 43 passes for 897 yards and 5 touchdowns, averaging over 20 yards a catch and earning second-team All-ACC. You notice I didn't bring up his 23 stat. I don't know if he was injured. I'm not sure, but for some reason, the scouting report they used for this it referenced 2022, and I'm not sure why.
I think 22 was a much better season. I think that's probably why.
Okay.
But he still had a decent season in 23.
To me, this guy's the guy because one size, the speed, he has to be able to block real well. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
And if we got a guy like that running a 4.5 Dave,
Yeah.
that's going to be some problems for defenses. Defenses, his weaknesses weren't listed, so I didn't have any there for them that. But just a big dude. It's fast. To me, he almost profiles as a DK Metcalf type.
Yeah.
So
not quite as fast as him, but yeah.
So
yeah, similar.
I mean, just think about that along with George Pickens, and then putting one of those fast guys that we just added out there.
Like
I mean,
yeah.
that sounds pretty good to me. I know that we worry that like the talent drops off in the third round, but man, it looks like there's still guys here that you could find. Another one was like the Roman Wilson,
Yeah.
at Michigan.
Michigan.
Another one that maybe if he falls, the Steelers go after him. In fact, originally I had him, but when I was looking at it more realistically, I didn't think he'd be there. But for second pick in round 3, I did get a teammate of his, and that's I got them taking Mike Sanristel out of Michigan, cornerback.
Yep.
Pro day, obviously Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan were there, so obviously they watched this guy too. The scouting report is very good. 5'9", 182 pounds, so he is a little guy. That's the only thing. He's a little smaller. He's got an 8.4 RAS score, so not elite, but not bad. But we are talking about later third round here. But here's the pros. Springy, explosive, and energetic athlete with instant hinge fluidity on his hip rotations, which is good. Shows impressive adaptability to his technique on his pedal in off-man and zone. As soon as I saw zone, I was like, okay, this is a guy they could use. If he's really good in zone, they're probably going to be really interested, right?
Yeah.
Intelligent reaction speed and blind spot awareness makes him hard to manipulate. Ultra competitive support DB who fight blocks tooth and nail and surges into tackles. So he's a good tackling corner as well. Former wide receiver with excellent ball skills who very naturally tracks and high points passes. It's the size, I think, is why he drops. If it wasn't for that, good Lord.
He's going to be a slot corner, I think, which is good. They need a slot corner. So that's.
And in fact, here it is. Projects best as a slot defender, but has the versatility to play boundary CB and safety. So his weaknesses are this: has below average size, length, and mass. The guys just said. If it wasn't for that, right? Lacking proportional length limits his disruption radius against larger receivers. Lacks extensive experience in press man and has an uncertain projection with size. Will turn 24 years old in October of his rookie season. And I don't know why they had that as weak. Is that considered old or something?
Yeah, that's a little older for.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, in the third round, it doesn't matter.
They need a slot corner. This guy is good in zone coverage, which they run a lot of zone, right? Yeah, I don't. I like it, and I was like, man, this could be a nice get in the bottom of the third round, trying to grab another corner to shore up that secondary.
Yeah, I'm down with it. I think the Steelers showed a lot of interest in him too, so that wouldn't be a surprise at all.
Yeah. All right. So, round 4, I went with Mekhi Wingo, defensive lineman, LSU. At his pro day, Andy Weidel and Carl Dunbar were there.
Yeah.
So, as soon as I heard Weidel and then saw that Carl Dunbar was there, I was like, oh, okay. So, defensive line coach is there to watch. He's definitely there to watch the D lineman. It's definitely Mekhi Wingo that he's there to watch.
Or Mason Smith too. That's another guy that might.
Yeah, true. Ike Taylor was in that group as well. That was there.
Yeah, they don't have any DBs really, so I don't know why.
Yeah,
was there, but
maybe just to get experience.
Yeah.
Scouting report. I have has strength and natural leverage at the point of attack to help hold ground against one-on-one blocks against the run. Has the strength and violence to shed blocks when he does land his hands. Weaknesses are he's undersized for an NFL defensive tackle and appears to have short arms, doesn't have much room for growth on his frame. So could that be an issue? Yeah, definitely. Depending on what they want to do with them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. 0 technique, 3 technique, I don't know what they're thinking about doing with him. But so that's my round 4 pick. Because let's be honest, Cam's not getting any younger.
Mm-hmm.
They missed on Liao, it looks like. So,
I saw someone put up that they could possibly trade Liao this offseason. I'm like, I don't know who would give you anything but a bag of footballs.
Yeah, what are they going to give you? Yeah, a
He hasn't done anything.
2028 seventh round draft pick,
Yeah,
like
I don't know
whatever.
where that.
But yeah, but so that's my round 4 pick, defensive lineman. Yeah, I just for me it sounds like a good move. That's something they might make. All right, no picking the fifth. So round 6, I went with Tony Eichenberg, linebacker, Ohio State. Reason why I went with this pick was I still think there's room for them to go get another off-ball linebacker to put in that group, a backup plan, if you will, just in case, like what you're concerned about, that Holcomb may not be ready. And the reason why I picked this guy also is because of the fact that Pro Day, the director of college scouting, Dan Colbert, and Aaron Curry were there at Ohio State's Pro Day. Now, that might have been there to watch Steele instead, the other linebacker.
Yeah,
but
one.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they were watching all of them. So for me, that kind of led me to want to come with this pick for round 6. It makes sense just because of what I said. I have a scouting report on him too before I forget. So his height is 6'2", weight 233, RES is 779, so not great, not horrendous, but not great.
It's not bad for 7th round, 6th
right?
Round. So I'm sorry, 6th round.
So here we go. Tommy Eichenberg exploded in 2022 with 120 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, a pick, and 3 pass deflections. Now he's projected as one of the top linebacker prospects in the 2024 NFL draft. In similar fashion to his statistical ascent, Eichenberg is just as explosive on the field at 6'2", 230 pounds. He can erupt through gaps and close ground easily in pursuit, and he plays with a red-hot motor from the snap to whistle, per Ian Cummings. So that's a lot of good. They didn't even have a weakness on him. So I don't know, man. I don't know why. Maybe he had an off year this year or something. Maybe he was injured. But for a 6th round pick, I don't know why he's projected 6th round. It's kind of weird.
What did you have his RES score? I think it was.
I did 7.79.
It's not bad. It's not terrible.
Not bad.
Oops,
no,
for the 6th round. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he lasts so long, but he's an Ohio State guy, so the Steelers are going to like him. They like their Ohio State guys. So
yep. So this last pick, a little different than what you might think, but it's also something that I can see them possibly doing. So last pick in the draft, I've got Satoa Lomeu, offensive guard, Utah. Pro Day, director of player scouting Mark Sadowski was there for his Pro Day. Now, when you hear the scouting report, you're going to see why I think they'd be interested, okay? So he's 6'4", 319 pounds. Big boy. He didn't have an RES score. So here we go. Here's the pros. A big body who projects best as a guard in the NFL. Lamea has serious power as he drives defenders wherever he wants them to go. His giant 6'4", 320-pound frame isn't going to do well when asked to move laterally, but he can get to the second level enough in gap schemes to have confidence in. He's a run-first blocker who will benefit from the lack of extra space he has to overcome at tackle. So did you hear that? It sounds like they say they think, and that might be what they say next, but they're throwing it out there he could be a tackle as well. So it's one of those things, again, flexibility. They
always love that flexibility, guys. Yeah.
So here's another part. His pass blocking ability could use some work. He's prone to bending at the waist and reaching defenders' bodies too much. Lameo also gives up his inside shoulder because he wants to throw his inside hand instead of keeping it open for redirections. Technical refinements aside, Lameo can fit well into the right scheme and carries a solid day 3 grade entering the offseason. Okay. This is a guy that was with them working with him could be a nice day 3 pick. Sam Allou's not getting any older, Dave. You never know with Daniels. Injuries could crop up. This could be a nice guy that they could plug in eventually. So, especially run game. They love their run game. This guy fits the bill. Yep. They're bigs, as Mike Tomlin likes to say. So, 3 offensive linemen in the draft. Maybe it doesn't happen, but there's a part of me that kind of feels like it could happen.
I can see it. We floated the idea last time, maybe moving Daniels. We've talked about it a million times, to be honest. Daniels the center. I looked up his snaps. He had 500 snaps his first year. Well, in 2019 at center. So Is that the emergency? You know, you
Backup plan.
pull this if nothing else goes well, and they end up drafting a guard somewhere. I wouldn't rule it out, dude. I wouldn't rule it out. They
It's
have,
him or Herbig.
yeah,
It
they
has
have,
to be
fucked this plan up at center royally,
bad,
and
real bad.
now they gotta consider all options.
Yeah,
They don't have a choice. So I could totally see a guard in this draft. If anything, like you said, so they become the backup guard, so Herbert can be the starting center,
yeah.
or maybe drafting the guard to replace Daniels and let Daniels play center. I think
And
anything's
that's the
possible.
and I agree with you. They fucked it up so bad that really I think that's why I did this draft this way. Was I could see them going 3 offensive linemen just to make sure. And I'm not
Yeah,
saying it's going to be this guy, but like in general, I could see them going that route just to make sure if any tackles or guards or centers that are like projected 4th or 5th rounder and they fall to 6th, I could see them snagging them.
yeah. I mean,
I could definitely see that.
yeah, it's totally possible. I would not be shocked. Your pick for a linebacker too. Aaron Curry's been at 3 or 4 pro days now, so they're scouting linebackers. They're going to take a linebacker in this draft. It seems like it
Yeah, I think
because
so
he's
too.
been very busy. So yeah, that kid from Ohio State's a good one. As a kid from North Carolina, Gray, because I think he was in North Carolina pro day too, somewhere in that range. They're going to take a linebacker later on, but I definitely think they're going to take a linebacker. So it's a good draft, Dave. I think
I tried to be
Mims,
realistic as I could.
yeah,
Yeah,
Mims has to be the, unless they pull out of left field and do take JPJ. But man, I tweeted it out today. They haven't taken a player from the Pac-10 since 2017. That was Juju. They haven't taken a first round pick out of the Pac-10 since David DeCastro in 2012.
right,
And like we talked about, they haven't drafted a player that Colbert, Khan, Tomlin haven't gone to that pro day since 2009, Ziggy Hood.
right.
So
Like
it seems
it seems
like
odd, like an odd thing for them to do. But they're
if they took
desperate.
JPJ, they'd be changing a lot of history of how they've
Well,
drafted the last.
well, it's a sign of desperation.
Well, that's a
It's
good
just
point.
desperation.
That's a good point.
It's a sign of desperation. It's a hey, we fucked up really bad, so we're gonna
So,
try to fix this right off the bat and let the chips fall where they may.
and I
That's
know
that's what I think's happening. I mean,
you
that's
might
what
be
I think
right.
they're admitting. I'm not gonna say that's what I think will happen. I think that's what they're admitting if
I
they do that.
mean, Pat Meyer was at his pro day, so there's that. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to think. This, what do you make of those two guys only going to 4 pro days? It's strange. It's very strange. They didn't even show up for the Big 12, conference one. That's bizarre.
I think they didn't want to be as predictable. I think
You've said that before, and I'm starting to believe you
I
now.
I really think it.
Honestly,
I think somebody, probably Andy Weidel, was like, "You guys you make it so predictable about who you're going to take. Like, you got to quit doing this shit. Like, quit doing this. Nobody else does it like this."
I'd be interested to see
So
if how Philly does it. I don't know how if their general manager goes to pro days, a lot of pro days or not.
I
That's
don't know
interesting.
either, but something they've changed their approach in a couple different ways, and I'm sorry, I think it's the Andy Weidel effect. I really do.
It might be.
Uh,
It might be.
or I mean, or it is Khan just going like, "Hey, I've watched how you guys do this, but I've studied other GMs, and this is how they did things." I don't know. I don't know who to give the credit to, but I'm glad they sure as hell did it because their draft last year was legit,
Yep.
and so I'm hoping this year's draft's the same way. But the thing about and what makes it so fun is that with Omar Khan, it's so unpredictable now.
Hmm.
Like this guy will and deal, and you just don't know what they're gonna do. But I just when I saw that thing that most scouts were saying that these teams have them at round 2 for JPJ and Frazier, I was like, oh,
It
okay,
makes sense. I mean, I took a world of shit saying that a center is not a premium position, but it's just not. It's
no,
an important position, but it's not a premium position. Teams
right.
don't draft center in the first round that often. They certainly don't draft it high. So would it shock me if JPJ went early second? Probably not, but can the Steelers afford to pass him up? I don't know, man. I don't
I don't know
know.
either.
I mean,
Well, the
it's a
teams you got to
premium
keep
position for the Steelers this season for sure.
the teams you got to keep an eye out on are the Cowboys, and the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Those are the two. When I do mocks, every time, the Cowboys or the Seahawks take JPJ or Zach Frazier in the first 2 rounds if I don't take them.
Yeah.
So clearly, when they're doing these little projections and they do these mocks on these sites, they are going off of what they're being told of how things are going to fall. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I just, the Steelers have really backed themselves in a corner to where I don't know what they're going to do, but it better involve a center in the top 2 rounds, like you and Ron said the other day. It better involve it.
I think they're almost at the point where they have to trade up now, and maybe have to sacrifice one of those 3rd-round picks to get a center in the 2nd round.
God, dude,
I know
I'm
it sucks,
really hoping if it's like a 5 or 6 pick switch, that the price is not as much. I'm really hoping like it's maybe like their 4th or a 6th they get that lucky. I really don't want to see them give up one of those 3rd-round picks. I really don't. Just to move up 6 picks to pick
teams are not dumb. They're going to know the Steelers are desperate. If JPJ's off the board and the Steelers are making phone calls, they're desperate. And teams are going to know, and they're going to try to hold out for that 3rd-round pick.
And that's what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to get that 2nd round, and one of those two is getting. That's why I picked the center. I predict they lose out one, they panic, and they trade up and grab the other one. I think it's going to happen. I think they're going to go along with their 1st-round pick that they want out of the 4 teams that they brought the whole house to go see. And in round 2, they're going to chance it. They're going to chance it, and they're going to freak. As soon as one of them gets taken, they're going to panic, and they're going to jump up and trade up and grab one. And I think it's going to be Zach Frazier. I think somebody's going to take JPJ first, and then we're going to trade up and snag Zach Frazier. That's what I think is going to happen.
Trading up for Zach Frazier.
Now, and I think your prediction's correct. If they don't trade up and they're both gone, I think you're right. I think they take Van Pran in a panic, which would be bad. Like, don't get me wrong, he's your last chance at plug and play center.
If you're lucky, there's no guarantees of plug and play. Right. He's borderline.
I'm saying,
yeah, but you're right.
He's the last ranked guy that possibly could be. They might not have no choice either. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, that's it for me.
Yeah.
And I'm being nice. I'll throw Barton in there too, even though I'm against it. But I'll throw him in there too. Like, those are your 4, and then after that, it's over. It's over.
And Barton might be gone before JPJ because of position flexibility.
I know. And that's the thing. Like, technically you could argue now they have 4 guys they can go after.
Yeah.
But I don't, dude, when you violate that trade value, when you take a player that is way down the board than he should be, that's killer. That is.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Would you rather trade up for Frazier or burn a 2nd-round pick on Van Pran and keep your draft pick?
Boy, that's tough.
Right?
That is really tough.
Because I'm telling you, it's going to cost you that 2nd, 3rd to move up in the 2nd. I have a feeling. I could be wrong, but teams are going to know that the Steelers are desperate, and trading up might be tough.
Yeah, I don't God, I hate to say it, but I don't think Zach's worth sacrificing that 3rd-round pick. Wait a second. What 3rd-round pick? You have to give up a 3rd to get Zach? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. The 2nd, the later 3rd, the further back.
I can't do it.
Yeah, right. It's Zach Frazier, who maybe you're right, and it kind of makes sense that maybe he shouldn't have worked out because he's not fully recovered. But a 6-something RAS score, he's got short arms.
Right.
I'm sure he's going to be an okay center, but he might just end up being an average center in the league.
I would worry that
coming off a broken leg on top of everything else.
Yeah, no, I would just take Van Pran and be done with it. And then you got your 2 3rd-round picks to you better hit on.
Yeah, and you don't have a wide receiver or a corner.
Because I'll tell you this. So Van Pran, he played in Georgia. So I mean, like, it ain't like he's no scrub. Yeah. Like, and he playing for Georgia, you got to be a pretty good ball player and play at Georgia. And so in my head, I'm thinking, you got to be a decent center. You have to be.
I mean,
And then
Yeah,
when you think about, and then you think about it, if you put him, say they get Mims in the first round, now you're taking and putting a bunch of guys that already play together on the same line, which I really like.
yeah. I'm wondering what Van Pran's RAS score was. You don't know off the top of your head, do you?
No, and it didn't have it for me. Um, when I was looking at the thing, looking at different players. But that's a good question to raise though, because I don't know.
Let's see. I got it right here. Hold on. Oh, he he didn't work out, I guess, because it's NA. Well, he did work
Yeah,
out. He's got a 5. It just says NA though. I don't understand. Well, the basic question is how much worse is what's the difference between Van Pran and Frazier? Is it really a whole round, or is it really 10 picks difference, 15 picks difference? So you don't doesn't
that's a good
matter.
question. I don't, I don't
Then
know.
rather get
I'd have to really look at this stuff to really give an opinion on that. It's always been JPJ,
and Frazier.
Frazier, and then in the
And
third round, Van Pran, right? I used to see second rounds where Van Pran went in the second round, and then all of a sudden it was like he fell, and all the way to the fourth, and now he's like rounded out to where it's like most of the mocks now have him in the third round. I don't know. I'd have to, for the next pod, probably something we need to do. Something fun we could do. We could rank like top 5, 10 centers, or like talk about them maybe, since it seems like this is going to be a really interesting and important issue for the draft, because it is. Think about it. They have a number 1 wide receiver, right? They have, arguably they have one good or high pick tackle, and technically they hit on Joey Porter at corner, and they got Dante Jackson. I'm not saying that that's fixing much, just saying it really is center. That's really the most crucial position they're hurting it right now. So what you could do, if you think we could just do like top 10 centers in this draft next podcast. I think we should
just do top 5, because I don't even know if there's 10 worth.
Oh, you know me. About. I'll do 10, 20, whatever. Like,
Well, let's compromise. We'll do 7. Let's do 7.
Yeah. NSMC 99 on here. He put he thinks it's a no-brainer to sign Mason Cole back.
Mason Cole was so bad last year.
Man. He was.
He couldn't snap. He couldn't block. But I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We're about 2 weeks away from bringing the gang back. I'm talking, Mason Cole. We're talking Patrick Peterson. We're talking Chandic Sullivan. We're talking, the whole gang's going to – they're all sitting there. Nobody wants them.
They're going to have them on like a group Zoom call.
Allen Robinson's going to be our wide receiver too.
Yeah.
Bring everybody back.
Khan's going to get on the screen and just be like, what's up, guys? Hey,
just do a group call.
Let's get the band back together. How do y'all feel about that? Let's run it back. Let's go.
And they've already talked about, Patrick Peterson's there if we need him. And, Mason Cole's, I hate to say it, he's the number 1 center in free agency right now. Him and Brian Allen from the Rams, but he's supposedly coming off an injury. So.
He's broke. Yeah, so, you got him, and you got is it Connor Williams with the knee, the shattered knee?
Williams, which nobody knows what's going on with him. His agent said he's not even taking calls until he's somewhat healthy. So you can't count on him. It would be nice if he miraculously recovered and he ended up being the Steelers starting center, but you can't count on him.
So the thing is that maybe they do bring Mason Cole and bring him back on the cheap, way cheaper. And yeah, I know, but they still I get it. Well, okay, so
I can't fucking do it, man.
From a perspective of let's make sure we have somebody, and then go in the draft and get the guy that he can Well, maybe I don't want him near. I don't want him fucking near the new kid. I don't know. Now that I think about that,
I guess. He wasn't a bad locker room guy. He was one of the stand-up guys. He always answered questions,
Yeah, but whatever he's doing out there is wrong, and I don't want him teaching the new drafted center.
Man. He legitimately was very bad.
But but the thing that's so weird to me is what happened. He went from being a serviceable center the year prior to just downright awful this
I
season. I don't
mean,
know. It's just weird.
were we fooled because Kendrick Green was so bad that anything that came through the door after him would have looked great?
I
I don't know, man.
guess I don't know. I just don't remember him being that bad.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he's probably going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler by the time this whole plays out. I'm almost at the point where how can you not sign him? He knows the offense, he knows the team.
It
He's
literally
going to
would
be
feel like a dereliction of duty to not sign him
right
back.
at this point. I hate to say it, and I hope to God he doesn't play any significant snaps in 2024.
Okay, are
But
you so just listen to this shit, right? Hate to use PFF, but they actually have grades, so whatever.
yeah, it's the
Okay,
only
so
thing you can really go by.
his grading in 2023 was 57.3. Okay. Gave up 4 penalties, 2 sacks allowed. Just remember that 4-2, and then his score 57.3. This is his score in 2022, 67.1. It was 14 points better, right? Am I doing math right?
Yeah,
Sales sanctuary math. We're not that good at it.
yeah, no, that's not us trying.
Listen to this.
Sure.
Listen to this. 1 penalty, 2 sacks. It
This
was
goes back.
double that
Yeah,
this season. So what happened? Like
this
what?
goes back to my point. Nobody gets better under Pat Meyer. Nobody gets better
Right.
under this guy.
And you're right. You're
I keep
absolutely
banging
right.
that drum, and I don't think anybody buys it. But everyone,
2021. Here you go. 2021 when he wasn't even with us, 69.7.
does it say how old he is there?
Oh, of right now, let me go back to 2023, see if he'll bring it up.
Maybe it's just the wear and tear is getting to him.
Show bio. He's 28.
It's not that bad.
No. Round 3 selection by Arizona. I just don't get how we get a guy that was rated high 60s who dropped drastically to around 50. Like I don't get it. Like what the
Couldn't snap
fuck
the ball, couldn't block, couldn't do anything right. It was.
is it? Just Pat Meyer's scheme blocking? I don't.
I think. Remember we
how?
talked about. Well, actually, it was Ron, and I've heard it in other places where he likes his offensive line to be aggressive. Like most guys teach their offensive linemen to sit back and absorb contact. Pat Meyer wants them to go and make first contact. Maybe that's tough for these guys to master, and maybe some guys can't do it. I know Dan Moore's struggling with it like a month. He can't do it.
No.
There's been a few of these guys.
Yeah.
You know, Kevin Dotson leaves, and all of a sudden he's almost an all-pro.
I just don't. I just like I said, I don't. Well, with Cole, it's not. It ain't like they switched him from right guard to left guard. With him, it's center.
Yeah, that's true.
And he was
that's true.
Now, mind you, he was a guard too. So was he always a better guard than a center? And he just, I don't know. When I look at the rankings and I see that his rating was way better in 2022, 21, I could even go to fucking 20 to see if there's a rating. He played.
Maybe he's just a player on the downside.
This might be his rookie year. I'm wondering. He wasn't as good. 8 penalties, 2 sacks allowed. Had a 54.4 rating. That's still higher than this year. How the fuck do you give up 8 or commit 8 penalties and have 2 sacks and have a higher rating than this past season when you only gave up 4 or committed 4 penalties and 2 sacks? It's just strange. I don't understand. Let's see 2019 if he had anything. Okay, so in 2019 he had 211 snaps, 58 rating. He only gave up 1 sack, had 1 penalty.
Yeah, that's not a lot of snaps.
Figure out.
Yeah, he was just a backup. Probably.
How long's he been around? What did I say? So he wasn't that good. Same thing. 2018 he played 3 penalties, 2 sacks allowed at 53. So like, it almost looks like it was a fluke. Now that I'm seeing how many years
67,
he played,
yeah,
it's starting to look like the 2021 and 2022 was a fluke.
Well, maybe that was his peak. He peaked out and now he's done. I don't know. I told Ron, I looked at every team's centers and backup centers to see if they could trade for somebody. There's nobody with any depth at center that they could afford to trade one. I really don't. I think was it Miami? Or somebody has Ricky Stromberg, who I remember vaguely from last year's draft, and they signed a center, so maybe him, but he was a late round pick. I don't know.
So Connor Williams, he only played 497 snaps, right? His overall ring was at 86.5.
He's a good set. He's had a couple of great years.
7 penalties and 1 sack allowed, but gets an 80, whatever the fuck, 86.5 rating. So to me, that's the guy, to be honest with you. If they get any inclination of this guy being ready to go, I'd be like, what is your price? Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I read that article where
I'd have Con restructure half the fucking team to make it happen.
This is the quote from his agent again. Connor Williams had a pretty significant knee injury, so he's taking his time with his rehab. I don't think his plan is to sign with the Dolphins or any other team right now. I think he's focused on his medical situation. Pause, getting healthy, pause, and seeing where he stands. There's not anytime soon. That's his agent basically saying,
yeah,
he's fucked. He's not signing anytime soon.
What was the other guy, the Rams guy you're saying?
Brian Allen. He's coming off an injury too, right? The Rams went out and signed
or Y. To the Y or an I?
I believe.
There he is, Brian Allen. All right, let's see what this guy did in 2023. He only had 34 offensive snaps.
Yeah,
69.2. So I guess I got to go to 2022 to find out this fucking guy can play. He only had 373 snaps, 63 point. The guy hardly plays.
I think he was a backup before that. Go back one more year. Wasn't he he was the center for the Super Bowl team, I think. He was a starting center for them.
903, 80.2.
Yeah. He had a good year that year. That was the year they went to the Super Bowl.
He gave up 5 fucking sacks and 5 penalties, though. PFF sometimes, I think, does drugs. Like, how that doesn't make any sense.
5 sacks for a center is a lot.
Yeah. And he gave an 80-point grade? Really? Doesn't make any sense.
So maybe you take a flyer with him. At least I don't know. Is he healthy? It's April. He's still on the market.
I don't know what to think.
You know? Honestly, I'd rather have him than Mason Cole. Just
draft one and go get one of these guys if they're healthy. When they're healthy, that's what I would do. They got no choice really, or it's based bring Mason Cole back. That's it.
I mean, I guess technically you could wait and see if there'll be a couple centers cut, but you're waiting till almost the season starting. You know, when they cut down the rosters, you can't really. I guess you can sign Mason Cole until then, and then just have him placehold until I figure. Well, maybe the plan is like we said, Herbig's the guy. Herbig and a draft pick. I mean, that's the way they're gonna go.
I guess it's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah, it's bananas. They didn't sign one of these guys. Any one of these guys. There was 5 or 6 centers that signed in free agency. Let's get one of them. You know. I would.
Dried up on them pretty quick, brother.
Yeah, we don't need 3 wide receiver 3s and no center. Leave them all out and go get somebody. I think maybe people are going to get tired of us talking about the center stuff, but it's critical. This kind of position, April 1st, and there isn't one.
It's critical to what the Steelers want to do.
Yeah,
they want to dominate the line of scrimmage with the bigs, and you can't do that if you don't have a legit big in the first place at center. So this concept, and then not doing anything to make sure it works.
And you can make the argument, Dave, that you probably can't do it with a rookie second round guy who's borderline good or not good. You're going to put a start a rookie?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
With question marks? Zach Frazier is not Mike Webster. You'll be lucky if he's peak Mason Cole. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? If he scores, 70 on a PFF score in his career, We doing cartwheels.
Yeah,
It brings me
I don't
back to
know.
it's man, JPJ a bust.
Damn, you think so? Fuck. See,
If they want to
I'm
play
not
their
there
game,
yet. Let's
you know that
let's not do my man from WU that dirty. Like, come on, give him a shot.
who
Zach
Frazier.
Frazier. I mean, let's not act like
Well,
he's going to be
look,
horrendous.
he could end up no, he could end up being a very good center, but
I mean, he's highly regarded. I mean, he was at least. This injury put it down for him a little bit.
it could go either way with him at
But
this point.
they are correct in the fact my man is a state champion wrestler. Like he's really good with leverage and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm
And I've
sure.
watched him; he's done really well. Just the injury just sucks. So I don't know. I'm not there yet where I'm just like, yeah, we're fucked if they don't get JPJ.
I mean,
It's
but if you want a
tough.
dominant guy, I don't
Yeah,
know if you think Frazier's ceiling is a dominant center.
dude,
Maybe
I'm
a good
diving
center.
in to the top 10 fucking centers in this draft. Whether you like it or not, Dave, I'm going top 10. I'm going top 10.
Good luck, because it drops off a
Dedicating
cliff after
the
5 or
next
6. Man.
3 days to checking out centers.
You're gonna be telling me about John Smith from Cal Poly
from
Tech.
Appalachian State or some shit. Yeah, South Dakota, State or whatever. Yeah, I just imagine. Good lord.
I was thumbing through it quick. That kid Tanner Bornolini from Wisconsin, he scored like a 9 something on the RAS score. But
Damn.
every place I see him, he's 6th, 7th round pick. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to.
Because
I love Wisconsin kids.
RAS, and that's the thing you got to realize. RAS score doesn't always mean you're going to be
they're
this
athletic.
great.
They might not be good football players.
Yeah. And I mean, with offensive linemen, I also take the RS score with a grain of salt too. They're offensive linemen. They're naturally fat, Dave. They're not going to be, they're not going to run a 4.3. Like
you dream about a guy like Mims.
Well, right. I mean, Mims
fat,
is
chiseled out of stone,
right, and so fucking big, like muscular wise, that it doesn't matter. Right now, that's your guy, but not everybody's built like that. Dude. So I don't know.
I heard.
I like I said, starting tomorrow.
I heard Daniel Jeremiah say I saw Mims in person, and there's not an ounce of fat on that kid. He's all muscle, just a walking, like the way he described him was like, holy shit, that's the kind of guy you want. And then there's the whole thing. You're going to put two rookies and a second-year offensive lineman is 3/5 of your line this year. That's tough too.
Yeah, it is.
It's tough too. But this is the. I cannot emphasize enough. Not signing a center was a gigantic mistake. You wanted a veteran there. You want a veteran, making the line calls, pointing out the blitzers and the Mike linebacker and all that crap. You don't want a rookie doing that. But here we are. All right, Dave, I think we've beaten this down pretty good. You got anything else before we get out of here?
No, I know what I'm doing now for the next 3 days.
You can follow me on X at SteelSank16. Email the show at daver@steelsanctuary.com. Subscribe to the podcast, guys. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That really helps us out. Dave, give me your stuff and let's get out of here.
Yep. You can find me on X at DMC3SSP. You can find me on TikTok at Steelers Sanctuary Podcast or at SteelSankPod. Don't forget, guys, I got the website for the sports books at signupexpert.com/nothingness. And don't forget to subscribe to my podcast, the Hodgepodge of Nothingness podcast. And I think that's about it.
What is it, the 4-0 Pittsburgh Pirates right now?
5-0, baby.
5-0 Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oh, they just got done. Dude, the freaking game just got done before I had to get on here and do this with you. I was like, Pirates, wrap this up. Let's go.
Pirates peaking in April. There you go. All right, guys. Until next time, thanks for listening to the Steelers Sanctuary Podcast.